Hello everybody, the last exciting episode of the story of Esther. I hope you'll go read the story for yourself. I can tell it. My powers of storytelling are limited. Much better that you read it for yourself. Haman has been exposed as a plotter. He has been put to death. But there's only one problem remaining. The edict commanding the destruction of the Jews on the 7th of March still stands. And you can't revoke it. It's the law of the Medes and the Persians. You find that in the book of Daniel. You find it in the book of Esther. When you say it's the law of the Medes and the Persians, we mean it's the law that cannot be revoked. If that's what the law says, I'm sorry, that's what is going to happen. So now the king has a problem on his hands. He can't just summarily say, well, I didn't mean it, I was tricked. So the edict still stands. Haman is dead. The Jews are going to die on the 7th of March. And Esther and Mordecai put their heads together. This wily old Jewish gentleman, loads of character, as shrewd as they come. And Esther, who has become wiser and wiser as the years have gone by. And then the king, Xerxes, issues a second edict, saying that anybody who touches a Jew on the 7th of March will die. And in the edict, he gives the Jews permission to defend themselves on the 7th of March. Now, how do you work that one out? There's an edict that says the Jews must die, and there's an edict from the same king with his signet ring seal saying the Jews may defend themselves on the 7th of March. Well, come the 7th of March, and I tell you, it was not a pretty scene. I don't want to go into the details, except that the Jews triumphed, as invariably they do. You don't mess with the Jewish community, that is for sure, and it certainly took place in Babylon that year on the 7th of March. Great joy in the Jewish community. Even to this day, they celebrate the month of Purim, the festival of Purim, which is the 7th of March, the day that they were basically saved. And it took the wiles of Mordecai and the courage of Esther and the mercy of God. So what do we learn from this? Yes, we've spoken about God moving in a mysterious way, his wonders to perform. That sometimes the hand of God is very indistinct and it may almost appear as if it's gone, but he comes through. That thread that is sometimes bright and sometimes almost invisible comes through. This is God's world. Ultimately, his will be done. And lastly, but not least of least importance, Esther. The name Esther means morning star. And what is the morning star? That star that we see up in the sky when we wake up in the early hours. The morning star is that star that shines brightest when the night is at its darkest. They were dark years for the Jews in Babylon, but there was the witness, the strength, the courage, you could say the faith of an Esther, to stand up in that darkness and to let her light shine, though it cost her everything. Well, she lived to tell the tale. Jesus, we are told in the very last book of the Bible, is the morning star. He shines brightest in our darkest hours. And you and I are encouraged by Jesus himself to let our light so shine before this world that the world might see our lives, our good deeds, our witness for Christ shining in the darkness, and give glory to our Father in heaven. Esther, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a little bit different, but I've enjoyed telling this story. God be with you, and I'll be back again on Monday.